It's been a little while since we did one of these, but I have two pieces of casting, rumor, announcement, news, whatever, and it's all related to the upcoming DC series Lanterns. And also I have an update since in the days since I filmed the original video and edited it, new news happened. So we'll talk about that at the end. So like I said with all these, it's very possible that neither of these are true. James Gunn, as far as I know, as of right now when I'm recording this video, has not debunked them. So that's usually the one way we know it's not true. But this is why, James Gunn, just stop doing this. Don't do this about any of them. Don't communicate this much, because then if one of them's true and you don't say anything, every day you don't say something, we go, I guess that's the guy. But anyway, so two pieces of news. One comes from Nexus Point News, and this relates to the casting of Hal Jordan. So here's what we know about Lanterns. First of all, it's a series. It's going to be part of the new DCU, the part of James Gunniverse, whatever we're calling this. It's being created by Chris Mundy, Damon Lindelof, and Tom King. So Damon Lindelof, everybody knows from Lost, Watchmen, Miss Davis. He's great. He's definitely a kind of person I'd like to see on one of these, and it already makes me curious about what this is going to be. Chris Mundy is most known for working on Ozark, and then Tom King writes comic books. Most people know Tom King from writing, Visions, Mr. Miracle, the Rorschach series, Human Target. I'm not sure, there was a Lantern in Human Target. I can't think of a specific Green Lantern story that Tom King wrote, but either way, Tom King is one of those writers that some people like myself will read anything they work on. They've got the Jenny Sparks book coming out. They have a Black Canary book coming out soon that I'm very excited about. So Tom King's great. We know about the show. It doesn't seem like it's going to be based on a specific comic. But this is according to their press release. Lanterns follows new recruit John Stewart and Lantern legend Hal Jordan, two intergalactic cops drawn into a dark Earth-based mystery as they investigate a murder in the American heartland. So it takes place on Earth, which makes sense. It's going to be 8 episodes. It's a series, so space is expensive. We know that Nathan Fillion is playing Guy Gardner. That's something that's going to happen in the Superman Legacy movie. Honestly, with all these Lanterns, I'm like, maybe they kill Guy Gardner. Maybe a character just punches him so hard his head falls off. I think that would be kind of crazy. But also having 3 Lanterns alive at the same time on Earth feels like a lot. I know that's happened in the comics, but it's like what percentage of the active heroes on Earth can be Green Lanterns at any given time? So we got the 2 characters, Hal Jordan, John Stewart. Let's talk about Hal Jordan. So Nexus Point News reported that Josh Brolin, Thanos from the Avengers movies, and Cable from Deadpool 2, and other movies that don't have superheroes in them, No Country for Old Men, The Goonies, Dune, of course he's in Dune. So the rumor is that Josh Brolin is going to be playing Hal Jordan. Now that is interesting, because originally we had heard that Hal Jordan was going to be played by an actor in his 40s, and this was all also rumors, but it seemed like they were actively casting for Lanterns, and Josh Brolin is in his 50s, so right off the bat, a little older. But do I see this as possible? Yeah, he'd totally work as an older, legendary, but maybe grizzled, maybe somewhat disaffected version of Hal Jordan. And I think Josh Brolin could also play a standard, not a jerk version of Hal Jordan. But I think you cast Josh Brolin for a Hal Jordan that has seen it all and is taking this new Lantern. Honestly, it'd be the training day of Lanterns is. And it's not the training day because he's not he could be a bad guy. We'll get to that. But he's not the same kind of bad guy as Denzel is in Training Day. But yeah, he looks about right. He's played cops, leaders in the military, people like that before, authority figures, and he's done comic book stuff. So I'm actually, this feels right. This feels possible. It comes from an outlet that I don't have a ton of faith in just because I don't know them very well. And, he is older than you would expect, but yeah, I think this is very possible. What else does this mean? I don't know. There's a storyline, a very famous storyline where Hal Jordan, because of the destruction of his hometown, Coast City, goes mad with power and becomes Parallax. Everybody's seen that cover where he's holding a lot of he's got lantern rings on every finger. Maybe we'll get that story. If Coast City is destroyed and part of the deal with Lanterns is that Hal Jordan is on the way to becoming Parallax, maybe he's the bad guy of it. Maybe he's the bad guy of phase 1 of this universe. That would be pretty wild. But Josh Brolin, very good for that kind of villain. Obviously, Thanos, Cable, all that stuff. But honestly, the part of this rumor that I find more interesting is the potential John Stewarts. So this is not connected to that rumor, although, not surprising if this is happening this week and, this casting is happening. Sure, news is going to slip out and, even if it's not one person reporting all of it, it would make sense if it's all happening at the same time that we're going to start hearing about it. The part of this that I really like, Tom King, the writer who we talked about, who I really enjoy, and I met once, he's a very nice guy. He started following 2 people on Instagram. Now, I don't know how much Tom King follows people on Instagram. I'm not a humongous Instagram guy, but I feel like this is the kind of thing that does start to happen when, I don't know, it's like either they are doing this actively because they want to throw people off the scent, but I think it's also possible that Tom King is not a guy who does this with movies a lot and just, followed 2 people on Instagram because he's curious about their whole deal, and that would lead you to believe maybe these guys are up for the role of Jon Stewart. Now, I know one of these actors better than the other one. We'll start with the one I don't know super well. Damson Idris seems to be mostly known for a show called Snowfall that he's been on for a while. People are really excited about him. I'm not familiar with him. I guess he's the boyfriend in the first episode of Swarm, so there's that, which I have seen. And then there's a Formula One movie coming out next year starring Brad Pitt. Wait, is that really? God, it comes out in June 2025, but there's already a trailer. That's wild. But he seems to be the co-lead in that, so that's something. He's the right age for Jon Stewart. I could see it. Then there's the other person that Tom King followed, Pierre, who, as we all know, starred in 2021's Old as Midsize Sedan, the rapper with the most preposterous name in the history of movies. So there you go, Midsize Sedan. If you haven't seen Old, I don't think everybody should watch it because it's not great, but like, he's okay in it. I don't think it's his best performance, but I do think that is a role that is very memorable, and it's going to be hard to top that. He's also playing Mufasa in the new Mufasa movie, so that's a pretty big role. It's also apparently attached to Blade, although who knows who he's going to be in that. And then a movie comes out in a couple days called Revel Ridge, which is by Jeremy Saulnier, who people know did Green Room. So expect something like that, but it's about a Marine investigating corruption in a small town, and the Marine is played by Pierre. So he's going to be the center of this movie. I don't know. I mean, listen, he's the one I want because he's mid-sized sedan. Like, if I got to pick one, I would pick him. So then the question is, like, is the cast Josh Brolin as Hal Jordan, then either of these 2 guys as Jon Stewart? Like, is that a plausible cast for an 8-episode Lantern show on HBO? Absolutely. I do think, having looked at some lists of people that people have been expecting for Jon Stewart, both these actors have been on some fan casting lists because they're both up-and-coming actors in the right age range, and I wouldn't be surprised if it is down to those 2 of them, and Tom King, just wanted to look into them. I would imagine because he is writing the show, he would have insight into that. And then Josh Brolin, you know what? I could see it. I'm not like, I guess it's interesting because now it's like, if there was a poster with Josh Brolin and Damson Idris or Pierre, I think that could be legit. Like, yes, this is the first rumor that we've heard about the Lanterns casting, but I don't know, it feels pretty good. I wouldn't be surprised if in a couple months they announce that it's these 2 actors. And like, I do think they could be good for these roles because like Hal Jordan can be portrayed as more of like a cowboy lawman kind of thing. And that is something that Josh Brolin obviously is great at, as he was Jonah Hex, but I guess as more of like a, weathered authority figure, like in Dune. And then, let's say Pierre is playing a more straight-laced, army engineer, whatever Jon Stewart ends up being in this, but like, a new recruit who plays by the rules, takes it very seriously, and then maybe clashes over techniques that Hal Jordan has or something like that. Like, I don't know, that feels very doable. I think it could be super interesting. And I think if this is the cast for the show, it'd be really strong. We have, so far, the only other piece of casting for the show really seems like Kumail Nanjiani is going to play Booster Gold. So you got a Kumail Nanjiani, Booster Gold, and then Josh Brolin, Hal Jordan. That's very plausible. I think that's cool. So we'll check back in with this. But overall, I think this is a very interesting rumor. And I don't give like a likelihood score, but in terms of like, do I think that could work? Yeah, I think that could work. I think this could work. And yeah, it's just in my heart, mid-sized sedan, Pierre is like a very special role. So if he gets that, I'd be kind of excited. But it doesn't seem like but people really like Damson Idris, so who's to say he's not also as good of a Jon Stewart potentially, if not better. Also, for people that are confused, Jon Stewart is the name of the host of The Daily Show. It is also the name of this character. It's also an old football player who used to play on the Carolina Panthers, and for a while, all 3 of them were like in the zeitgeist at the same time. Okay, so here we are at the end. So to recap. Well, I don't know, you don't need a recap, you just watch the video. So Josh Brolin apparently has the offer for Hal Jordan. That is according to Jeff Snyder. However, also according to Jeff Snyder, 2 of the other actors that they're looking for the Hal Jordan role, should Josh Brolin turn it down, are Matthew McConaughey and Ewan McGregor. So I don't think I need to explain either of those two actors to you guys. Obviously, McConaughey, most known for things like Interstellar, True Detective. Ewan McGregor, most known for things like Star Wars, Doctor Sleep, Birds of Prey, another DC character. So if they actually bring back Harley Quinn and she has all the same history, then technically he could play two roles, even though they never meet, because spoiler alert, he explodes at the end of Birds of Prey. I think both of those are interesting. Matthew McConaughey feels a lot closer to Josh Brolin than Ewan McGregor does, mostly because Matthew McConaughey seems like an actor who can play rough, world-weary, like he's seen it all. That's kind of what Cole Rust is in True Detective, even though True Detective is a cop show and he plays the role that Jon Stewart would be playing in this, but he is still a character who has seen some stuff. On the other side, I really like Ewan McGregor. I think he's very smart. I think he's very funny. But I don't think this is controversial. I don't think he has the same vibe as Josh Brolin and Matthew McConaughey. And that's not just because he is not American, because I think he can pull off a pretty convincing American accent. It's more that he doesn't feel inherently tough, right? Think about Birds of Prey. His character is a very eccentric gang leader / club owner. Like, that is a role that I think he's able to play very well. I guess Kenobi is similar to his version of Hal Jordan, and I didn't hate Kenobi. Like, I didn't really like the show, but I think his performance was fine. I guess he doesn't strike me the same way. Hearing that it's Ewan McGregor, you go, okay, wonder what that's gonna be. But with Matthew McConaughey and with Josh Brolin, you're like, oh, so that's what they're doing with Hal Jordan. That doesn't mean that Ewan McGregor cannot fill this role out. I didn't say this in the original video, but like all those Tom King books I mentioned are all about a character who has some sort of status. He's important to those around him, but inside of him is darkness. That's Mr. Miracle, that's Vision, that's Human Target. Like that's what Tom King does. So getting an actor like Ewan McGregor who can play a somewhat maybe brighter, even maybe sillier version of Hal Jordan, like the version of Hal Jordan that you would see on a lunchbox, who can turn and then get real grim, get real serious. You know what? I talked myself into it. I like Ewan McGregor. Out of the three, I think I like him because he's the one who I don't know what we're getting. Like with McConaughey, we would be expecting that darkness, and that is fine. Like I think this show does not need to reveal that much, doesn't need to be a surprise, but I think with McConaughey, you go in with a very serious expectation. And obviously, Ewan McGregor can play dark, complicated characters. Fargo, season 3, very much that. A very complex set of characters, but I guess it just isn't his brand the same way that it is for Josh Brolin and Matthew McConaughey. But those two are also apparently now in line. So according to this Jeff Snyder rumor, Josh Brolin has the offer, and Ewan McGregor and Matthew McConaughey are two actors they're going to be looking at should Josh Brolin turn it down. I don't know what the likelihood of that is. I think any of those are good. Honestly, right now, I would prefer... just based off of the fact that like they don't do this constantly, like Josh Brolin has been in so many of these, I kind of want something different. So if I get to pick out of the three, I think I'm Ewan McGregor, Matthew McConaughey, Josh Brolin, which is not where I was the other day. And I think Josh Brolin could still be a good actor. I think Josh Brolin could definitely do something interesting with this role. But if I hear that Ewan McGregor got it, I'm going to be excited because that's going to open up a whole new world of possibilities for what this movie is. Also, there was a rumor going around today, this isn't related to this, the guy who directed Challengers is going to direct a Sergeant Rock movie. I don't know if that's true, seems pretty unlikely, but if that's true, then that's kind of cool. I don't know. I think there was a while where Steven Spielberg was developing a Black Hawks movie, and I do think Sergeant Rock is a character that's been thrown around for a while because he's just an old character that DC's had for a while who is in the army. Like that's really all it is. He's a G.I. Joe kind of guy. He doesn't have superpowers. He doesn't know Superman. And there's different things you could do with him, but like I would imagine a Sergeant Rock movie would be a period piece, and it's that kind of movie where it's like if he doesn't have superpowers, like for me at least, what's the point of this? Like we're just making a war movie, unless it's a war movie where they're fighting, you know, Brainiac or something. That would be interesting, like Cowboys versus the Aliens thing. Never mind, that's what it should be, not Brainiac. Who's like an alien race that would give humans a lot of trouble? The Thanagarians, maybe. That would be the Thanagarians. I mean, like it could be Vandal Savage, but again, he's just like a guy. He's a magical guy. But I want something that is so next level that like when Sergeant Rock sees, he's like, what the hell is that? We are not prepared to fight those guys. You could do Atlantis, I guess, but that's Wakanda Forever. We just did that. Either way, that's the update. Thank you everybody that watched this video. Like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Stay safe, and I will see you around.